Now I actually want to talk about something that we've talked about all along, here and there, but I want to focus on it, which is unhappy or difficult patients. Here at Open Door, we have a strong sense of team. We work very hard. We're all dedicated. We put a lot of ourselves into the work that we do. And so when someone comes and is unhappy with our work, or challenges us on that, or is saying to us that they don't like what we've done, or are criticizing us, it can feel very much like an attack, like a challenge to who we are and what we do. And I want to offer to you that there's another way of looking at that. Even though it is perfectly normal when somebody comes forward and wants to criticize us to say, oh no, we do a good job, I put my all into that, you're wrong, crazy patient, and want to circle the wagons. Even though that is a normal and natural and understandable feeling, that there is a better way to look at this, which is when we talk to people who are unhappy with us, it can actually be an opportunity rather than a challenge. We can look at it as an opportunity to repair a broken relationship of trust and to maybe even make it better on the other side. During my years at Open Door, I've had a lot of opportunity to work with people who were unhappy, whether it be staff or patients or folks that were challenged with the situation, and to be able to take that and to try to live my principles and practice them and do the best that I could to try to bring about a good result and to repair that relationship of trust, and maybe even to build more in the process when they are able to see that we are interested in helping them with their issues. Now, did that work every time? No, it didn't. But what it did amount to is that I was able to really live up to being that person I always hoped I might be when faced with those challenges, that I could go home and look at the guy in the mirror and live with the person that I saw there. As a person who couldn't do that for a long time, I can tell you that's worth more than you think, and our work affords us many opportunities to do that and to live our principles with the people that we work with. To give an example of where we could look at ways that we can turn that challenge into an opportunity, I want to tell you a story. When I first started at Open Door, as a medical assistant, I was there about a year, and I had gotten certified to do retinal photography, to take pictures inside of people's eyes who had hypertension or HIV or diabetes to make sure that they weren't going to go blind. And I was bringing this patient in, and I'd never met this person before, and everything seemed to be going fine, and I needed to go ahead and review whether they had any medications and get that entered into the system before taking the pictures. And I said, so, now we need to see if you're on any medications. And I opened their chart, and I said, oh my, you sure are. She had 32 medications in that chart. And the patient, to my utter surprise, began to react like this. I'm not angry about that, but what if I had HIV? Or what if I had cancer? That could have really hurt my feelings. I really don't like that you talk to me that way. And I'm really toning it down quite a bit from how she did that. And there was a lot of things I could have chosen to do, but what I did choose was this. You know, I'm newer at being a medical assistant, and I never thought about how something like that could impact how somebody feels. And because of what you said today, I'm going to change what I do from now on. Thank you for being willing to point that out to me. It totally blew her away. I'm really grateful. I have a good relationship with that person to this day. It has had a huge impact on how I offer care to people, and I grew because of that encounter and my willingness to look at that. So as we talk to people and feel challenged by the times that they are upset with our care, we need to be willing to ask ourselves, what could be true in this? Just because we don't like the way that it's presented, there is still a chance to grow and to change and to offer better care and to repair or even improve the trust that's in that relationship. And there's other elements that we've talked about all along that really play in when we're working with angry and upset people. First and foremost, we need to listen. We need to hear people. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. Most people listen with the intent to reply. Like we said before, whatever super cool, helpful, empathetic, compassionate, wonderful thing I'm thinking about saying, if I'm thinking about that, I'm not hearing them. And what did we say that 80% of the formal complaints were about? They weren't listening to me. We really need to open our minds and listen and hear what it is and state it back to them so that we're sure that we understand what it is they're upset about so that we can better know how to help them. Along with that, tone of voice. Tone of voice is incredibly powerful. We talked about mirroring before. One of the other ways in which we can mirror people is in tone of voice, and we can also use our tone of voice to bring them closer to us. I mentioned that earlier that when we talk with a really upset person, if I talk to them in a calm and kind tone of voice, they will naturally come down partway to meet me. That is because of that mechanism of mirroring that's wired into our brain. Their body will hear us and want to mirror that. Some proof of that, where you can see for yourself how the tone and the environment and the body language of people can affect us through mirroring, that we can use in these situations. Think about a time where your friends came to you, for example, and wanted to take you off to some party or some event, and you're just like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to go. But finally they convince you, you go, okay, I'm going. And you go there, and you get there, and everybody's like this. And you were so tired when you walked in, but pretty soon you're like this. Why is that? Because your body is seeing what's going on, and that everybody's elevated and everybody's happy, and your body wants to respond with them. And we can use that knowledge by being calm and showing that to folks and helping bring them to a better place where they can work with us for resolution on problems. On top of that, we've got body language. Open, friendly, smiling. Smiling's not always appropriate. We want to think about that. Sometimes it might be creepy, but we want to use it carefully. But on top of that, we really want to be careful about our body language, letting it be open. The fact is, they've done tons of studies. When everybody's feeling fine, nobody takes this as being closed. But the minute someone's upset, they won't even know it, but they'll be sure that anyone who's doing this is closed and not hearing them. This is one of the things that people have the hardest time figuring out, is what to do with their arms. Letting them hang naturally is one of the best things that we can do. It lets people know that we're open, that we're not defensive, that we're not concerned, and that we're engaged with them. On top of that, we want to have empathy. Again, as we mentioned before, thinking about those times when we were sick, when we were scared, or we were scared for a family member. Maybe they were in the hospital and we were concerned about the care that we were getting, or maybe we were concerned about our own care. Using those experiences to remember to remain open and feel empathy. If you look at the picture you're seeing right now, those two guys can really feel each other right now. We want to remember what it's like to be in their shoes. Again, that doesn't mean we need to take abusive treatment or inappropriate language, inappropriate behavior and all of that. We're here to protect you and to take care of you on that. Let us know what we can do. But in the meantime, we want to recognize that many people suffer from mental illness or behavioral problems and have a hard time acting in the way that we expect. We want to honestly ask ourselves, are they crossing a line? Are they disrespecting me? Or is this maybe the best the person can do, and I can live with this so that I can help serve them better and not let ourselves lose that empathy and understanding for them. Additionally, we want to keep our words more focused than ever with folks that are upset on the solution rather than on the problem. Most of the time when people come in with problems, they have been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. They are stuck in the problem. And they're coming to us, and very often their experiences going elsewhere is that people are like this. They're not interested in solving the problem. We want to be there for them, and we want to show them. And the way that we can do that is once the problem's stated, we don't need to go back to that. We need to lead them towards solution and make sure that our language is focused on that. And one of the best ways that we can do that is by offering people choices. Once the problem's stated, let's come up with some ideas. We can ask them what they think is a good solution, or we can say, hey, you know, you're really unhappy with the interaction that's happening with your provider. Well, there's a few things we could do. You and I could have a sit down with the provider and see if we can come to terms on how you guys want to relate to each other. We could see if another provider is available to you, or maybe we want to just leave it for now and see if you still feel the same way at your next visit, and then we can move on from there. What would you like to do? When we give choices back to people, when people understand that we want to help them and that we're doing the best we can, very often they de-escalate, very often they become engaged with us instead, and it helps them calm down. Along with that, when we're working with upset people, we need to be patient. We need to be able to keep our patience. If I lose patience with someone that I'm working with because they're escalated and I escalate, they will escalate further. And once I've lost my patience, even if I get it back under control, I'm done. I'm not going to be able to help them further today because now the problem isn't whatever we were talking about. Now the problem is me. So we need to practice with patience. I don't know about anybody else. I wasn't born with a huge share of it, but I feel like we can learn to grow in that characteristic together by supporting each other and doing that, and remembering if we feel like we're losing patience, the most important thing when we're working with unhappy folks and upset patients is to remember this. You're not doing it alone. There is a whole team around you. Very often when someone's upset, saying, I'm going to get someone who can better help you with this, and then just get anybody, just the change of face. often causes people to calm down. They begin to realize they're working with a team. They begin to realize that we're trying to help them, and it's just a change, and it gets them out of that moment. Also, you have site administrators, clinic coordinators, and office managers, all of whom are there. They're trained to work with you and help the patients resolve their problems. And very often, many of the complaints they have, when it's risen to the level that it's not working and you can't solve it and you feel like it's gotten to where it's more focused on you than on the problem, you're not going to be able to help them anyhow. And many of the solutions may take one of your supervisors be able to go ahead and get that resolved and to make the actions that are needed. So pull us in and remember that we're all a team together. Along with all of this, doing this, we may all be very good at this already. You may be fantastic at this. As we learn more, we become better, but we always need to be willing to take inventory. Any business, any store, for example, if I own a store and I don't walk around through the aisles and look at the products and notice that that gallon of milk is now hard as a rock and 6 months old, or that can is rusty, or that no one ever buys that product, I'm going to be out of business soon. So, I need to be able to ask myself if what I'm doing is working, particularly after a bad interaction with somebody. If an interaction doesn't go well, I need to take my inventory and see what I could have done differently. Not them. I spent my life taking other people's inventories, and I was a sad, miserable, unhappy person, and nothing ever got better. But the minute that I turned around and began to take responsibility for my own behavior and what I could change in me, my interactions with everybody got better, and I began to enjoy life more, and I began to get somewhere in my communication with people. We need to be willing to ask ourselves, what could we have done better? And sometimes the answer will be nothing. We did the best that we could. But we need to look at that as both individuals and together as a team, especially when things go wrong, for those moments in which we can learn to go ahead and interact with people better going forward in the future, either with that person or someone else in a similar situation. Along with that, we've largely focused on person-to-person communication, but all of these things really apply to phone and written communication as well. For instance, when I am on the telephone, what have I lost out of the 100% of communication? 55%, more than half, is body language. I've lost more than half of my ability to communicate to you what my meaning is and what I'm about. People can't see the twinkle in my eye and know that I'm kidding. So my tone of voice and the words that I use become more important than ever. When I do written communication, and you will all do a lot of phone and written communication in your role, I have seen more misunderstandings between patients and staff and other staff members over poorly worded written communication. We need to think more than ever, all we've got is that 7%. How might they interpret the words that I am using? So we want to look at the things that we're writing, make sure that we intend to say what we're saying there, and that it's clear and that no one can misinterpret it or take it the wrong way, wherever possible. When I do emails, for example, I will do 3 drafts of an email before I send it out to folks, asking myself what it is they need to know and how might they interpret the words that I've just used, and reframe those words until I feel satisfied that my message will be clear and that people will be able to use what I've given them and be able to move on. Along with all of this, what else can we do? Well, there's a number of things that we can do. First of all, if you're interested in the topic today, you're going to be doing additional training with Open Door called CARE. It's Connect, Accept, Respond, Empower, that talks about empathetic communication. And additionally, there are TED Talks online and other trainings available if you want to improve your skills in communications with people. And another thing that we can do is look at the folks that we work with. While all of us have something to bring to the table on communication, there's always room for growth. Every human being has infinite room for growth in the way that they communicate and share with other individuals. And when we look around at the people that work with us, we may see someone and it's like, why does the staff always want to talk to them when they have a question? Why do patients always go to them to find out things? Man, how does that person do that when people are yelling at them? And then go ahead and have some humility and be willing to walk up to them and say, hey, I really like what you do and how you do that thing. How do you do that? How did you learn to do that? Show me. And then when people come to us and ask the same thing, be willing to teach and to share. Because all of us have something to offer when it comes to communicating with people and bringing that experience of being respected to each other. And along with that, one of the most important things that you can do is be you. Be your authentic self. People are intuitive. They will know when you're being real. Your patients will respect you, your coworkers respect you, and you will respect you, and you'll enjoy the communication that you have with people. We saw something in you. You are here because Open Door has gotten really good at finding the people who belong here. And when you came and you presented to us and you interviewed with us, we saw something in you that we valued. See that thing in yourself, bring that forward every day, and the people around you will want to engage with you. And remember, of course, what Oscar Wilde said, be yourself because everyone else is already taken. With that, I want to thank you for your time and attention today. I want to welcome you again to Open Door. I hope that your time with us is as wonderful an experience for you as it has been for me over the years. And thank you. If there's anything we can do to support you as you go forward, let us know. Thanks.